Welcome back to the episode of...
No. That's gross. My biggest pet peeve, well, I mean, whatever. We could get going now, but my biggest pet peeve is when people are stuffing their face talking to me. I just want to punch them in the face.
Really?
All the time, like right now. Thing is, I'd never get to your mouth because I'd get blocked by your big nose.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely an issue. What episode are we on? 62, 63?
63.
Okay.
Let's swat you out of the way.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Feedback was pretty good on the last podcast, despite the criticism.
I didn't get any feedback.
Yeah, I get just people I'm talking to, right? Even as I was sitting in my truck, I said, I got the guy yelling at me to go record, right? And he's a faithful listener. And then he said, oh, yeah. He said, it's going to be pretty hard to tell a story more gross than the goat story, isn't it? Although he figured I did have a few more in my repertoire.
Did you ever end up talking to the guy that, the farmer that didn't like you or didn't appreciate you or something? Or
No, haven't heard. Nobody's reached out. I do talk to a lot of farmers, though, and I talk to a lot of farmers that listen to this show. So they appreciate anything agricultural related, and it's just not your jam, so we don't really go there that often. But
it's too localized, too.
No, it's not. People,
if it's not localized, I'm more open to it.
Yeah.
Want to go?
We are going. This is all part of it.
It's for the Patreon people.
No. Full. We're recording, huh?
Well, we are recording, but
we're good.
Welcome back to another episode of the Briefcase in the Barn, episode 63, a series of the Furiously Curious show where we talk about business, life, Christianity, and more. Gary says we've been recording for a while. I was eating a sandwich, but
doesn't matter. Only the YouTube people.
Oh, you got Starbucks again. I just got my regular coffee here, so.
It's the last time you'll be getting a Starbucks from me. Do we have anything to talk about today?
We got chapter 19, Gentle and Lowly, and I think that we got a bunch of other points.
Yeah, pretty interesting week. Well, when this comes out, you'll have already had your event, obviously.
Yes, yeah. Trey showed up yesterday.
Okay.
First thing that Peter asked him, he was here for like probably 10 minutes. Peter goes to him, Peter's 4. Why'd you kill people?
That's a loaded question.
So he just practically answers and he goes, all boys. Young boys, first question they ask. Goes to school, first, have you killed people? First question he asks.
Yeah. We had a kid end up in the children's hospital with an accident there.
So, oh, yeah.
So we were to our marriage retreat, but
what was the marriage retreat again? Where did you go?
It was Family Life in Kananaskis. We go every year. It's all over the place. It's a fundraiser for Family Life Canada. Okay. So it's pretty small. There's usually like 20 to 30 couples at the most. This time there's 21 couples. And just like many things in my marriage, it was a bit of a gong show. So we landed, and the minute we landed, we got a phone call that Sky had fallen and broken both her arms. She shattered one elbow, shattered her wrist on the other arm.
Sky 7?
6, yeah. That's grade 1. Went for surgery. My sister, wonderful sister.
How did you decide if you were going to go home right away or if you were going to stay?
Well, we drove out to Kananaskis, and then basically by nighttime we decided we were flying back, but it was too late to fly back that night. So Marie flew back the next morning. And
how did you decide to stay?
I stayed because I did that info night for Freedom Session in Southern Alberta, which was great. It's cool. It's exciting.
On that note, if you're in Southern Alberta, it is starting October 3rd?
8th.
That's a Wednesday.
Yeah. There's really not a lot of room, though, so I wouldn't be plugging it too hard.
October 8th.
I would say it's full.
Unless you're really messed up.
Don't go if you're really messed
really want
up.
Freedom?
No, it's never those people, right? The most screwed up people never see the light of day.
Yeah, they never do it.
No, too hard.
They quit.
Fold like a cheap tent. Anyway, so yeah, it was interesting. I thought it was fascinating to be at the marriage retreat by myself.
Oh, yeah.
I figured, hey, I probably have more to work on than my wife anyway, so. It's actually not a lot there's only a couple sessions. It's a lot lighter version than your normal marriage retreat is a lot of sessions.
This is where all the rich people go?
Too much like school. I wouldn't say all rich people. Rich in love and mercy, just like our chapter 19.
Is that where you want to go now?
Yeah. Let's listen to your monologue on the chapter.
Okay.
We've been working through the book Gentle and Lowly. And this week we're in chapter 19.
And there's 22 chapters. We're almost done.
We're almost done. It's a great book.
After actually reading this chapter 19, I thought to myself, like, I want people to read this so bad because it is just dynamite. So it focuses on Ephesians 2 verse 4, but God being rich in mercy. That's the verse. And some interesting quotes from it that stuck out to me. There's nowhere in the Bible is God described as being rich in anything. The only thing he is called rich in is
mercy.
And we traditionally think, which is interesting, like a lot of the times it references that it says we have to change our view. Part of the Christian life is shedding our original view of who God actually is, which is angry and like just, not mercy at all. And I kind of thought that was more of a Dutch Reformed, my kind of background thinking. But it sounds like that's just human, more and more just like our human thinking, because that's what humans do, right? Like we don't default to being rich in mercy. We do default to being rich in sin. But yeah, I thought that was definitely pretty interesting. Let's check out too.
Oh, just how we are dead in our trespasses and our sins. And I guess it kind of reminded me of just the idea of that. I do think a lot of people probably, I don't know if they're Christians or not, but I think a lot of churches are probably I don't think that's probably taught enough. I think that people still have, even people in Christian circles are taught that people are somehow inherently have some good in them. And I think that, we as people left on our own are, that was I think it makes us less judgmental when we can realize that. I think that we should have a
100%.
lot more grace for people that are, outwardly struggling, because we all are fully lost, right? And I just feel like, man, we try so hard to look good on the outside, it's obviously connected to that as well. But
that's how I grew up. I thought I was pretty good. I wasn't saved, but I wasn't like the world. And I had like this middle road where I was I was.
And that's false teaching, right? That part, that's something I really struggle with. The idea that there's three camps. There's just not three camps, right?
You hate God,
you're
you
either
love God.
a Christian or you're not, right?
Yeah. But more than that, like when you say Christian, you're like, okay, people can live with that. But like, I think it's important to describe it.
I think people think that because they go to church, it makes them a Christian. They think because they were baptized as a baby, it makes them a Christian. That is not true.
That's true, yeah.
So that's where I'm coming with.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
But it says, here's a quote.
Christ
was sent not to mend wounded people or wake sleepy people or advise confused people or inspire bored people to spur on lazy people or educate ignorant people, but to raise dead people. Mm-hmm.
So that's the answer to the piece that I just said, right?
Yes. We inhaled rejection of God, and we exhaled self-destruction and well-deserved judgment. Beneath our smiles at the grocery store and cheerful greetings to the mailman, we were quietly enthroning self and eviscerating our souls of the beauty and dignity and worship of which we were made. Sin was something we lapsed into. Yeah, we try to mitigate that, right? I mean, that's why I think it's, like I think we talked about a couple episodes ago, like your closet inventory, like talking to someone about the worst things you've ever done, because it brings out the reality of how crappy we are, and it's only in that light can we be merciful to others, and can we see the craziness of God's grace and his mercy.
Yeah. Can I read one part here?
If you want, I guess.
Yeah. Whether we have been sinned against or have sinned against ourselves into misery, the Bible says God is not tight-fisted with mercy, but open-handed, not frugal but lavish, not poor but rich. That God is rich in mercy means that your regions of deepest shame and regret are not hotels through which divine mercy passes, but homes in which divine mercy abides. It means the things that make you cringe the most make him hug the hardest. And most of us need that, right? In some area of our life, right? So I just think that's really encouraging.
Yeah.
And it means his mercy is not calculating and cautious like ours. It is unrestrained, flood-like sweeping. And that's part of the problem, right? Because we're always viewing God through our human lens, and it's really broken, right? Yeah. So it's healthy to get
and also, but also sometimes we look at our own life and be like, Christ isn't that merciful to me. Like, why am I dealing with all this suffering?
Stuff, yeah.
Why am I dealing with everything that's going on? But the evidence of Christ's mercy towards you is not your life. This book says the evidence of his mercy towards you is his mistreated, and the fact that he was mistreated, misunderstood, betrayed, abandoned eternally in your place. Right? Yeah. Like, he took our place. That's the mercy beyond anything, that God himself came. And so it means our haunting shame is not a problem for him, but the very thing he loves to work with most. It means our sins do not cause his love to take a hit. Our sins cause his love to surge forward all the more. It means on that day when we stand before him quietly, unhurriedly, we will weep with relief, shocked at how impoverished a view of his mercy-rich heart we had. That's if you repent and trust in him.
Amen.
Yeah. But anyway, great book. Great chapter. It just makes me jump. Just genuinely happy. Joyful.
Can you jump now? How's your back doing?
I played some soccer in the backyard. So I redid my lawn this year, made it all flat and smooth, and I rolled it last week. And I got some line paint, so I'm painting a perfect square, and I got my corners set
Do you
up.
like soccer?
Yeah, I don't mind soccer,
Okay.
especially with the boys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
I just thought maybe because you're from the Netherlands, like straight off the boat, that's just bred into you or something.
No,
Dutch people are fanatics about soccer.
they are. But I didn't even know what sports were. Like, there was nothing like that growing up in my house.
Okay. No sports?
No.
Just riding a bike.
Riding a bike, yeah.
What was the extent of the...
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my parents are pretty sheltered. No offense. Love you guys.
It's a real balancing act, eh? We live in our friend group, there's people that literally have their kids, like they'll have 4 kids and they're all in rep sports playing 4 times a week. And then I have other friends where their kids are not allowed to play sports at all. So I feel like, yeah, it's fascinating. And I wonder if we're doing too much, right? And our kids are doing very little, but when you have 6 kids, it's just like...
I just want to be doing stuff with them. So I love sports. My boys love sports. I just love to play with them. I just play our soccer every night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just like hockey or whatever, yeah.
I guess I feel like there's just a lot of good things learned in sports, right? Even team sports for kids.
Yep.
Discipline, just being part of a team, listening to a coach, just being guided, right? Physical fitness, a lot of positives. Our kids, I like them like they're in piano. They love music. All our kids love music, so I think piano's cool.
Yeah. Okay, I got a good job posting.
Okay.
For Furious the Curious Recruiting. So a well-established company right here in Chilliwack is looking for a marketing manager. If you can grab the bull by the horns, lead projects, and keep marketing moving day to day, this role is for you. You'll oversee brochures, graphics, campaigns. It's a good-sized budget. I think you'll be managing almost $1 million budget.
For marketing?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a big company.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Salary starts anywhere between 70
Very little.
70
Very
to
little
150, depending on
how good you are.
Experience and what you can do.
Okay,
So
cool.
But they want someone who understands blue-collar and agricultural stuff. Ideally local and in person. So if that sounds like you, reach out to me and I'll connect you with the right guy. But it's a pretty cool position. You don't need to necessarily even know how to do a lot of the marketing stuff yourself. You need to be able to delegate well and make things happen and understand what the customers are
looking for, what kind of content to produce.
Yeah, pain points and yeah.
Okay.
So
it's very interesting. I would be curious to know your opinion on this. With our new business, Rosedale Tractor, I tend to err on post everything, post stuff and stories, post it raw, who cares?
Yeah.
My young guy partners are want everything polished, looking a certain way.
Yeah.
And we always kind of have this debate. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, hey, good news, bad news, just get in the news. Just content's important. Like if you haven't posted anything for 3 weeks, that's not great, right?
Yeah.
Would you err on that side, or would you be like, hey, it should look a certain way?
No, I just post to be real. I think I would guess, I'm calling out your young partners right now, they're not comfortable enough with themselves to be open about their bad stuff. And so that reflects then in how you show your company as well, right? Where you need to come across as all together and have everything
We
perfect.
psychoanalyzed each other the other night to try to figure it out, right? And I'm not saying I'm right. I think, obviously people spend a lot of money on marketing, as this company is, to do things the right way and to produce good content. I just feel like when you're a startup, it's like, hey, just let people know what you're doing. Just let them know you're doing stuff, right? But,
yeah, I agree. I think being real is more important than anything.
Okay.
And that's, I always think about marketing as how would you want to be marketed to when you're trying to buy something?
so this is part of the problem, I think, is that
I'll finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I would want to be marketed to in the most honest way, that what you're selling is the closest to the product you actually get. So I always use the example of if I was marketing for McDonald's, I would take a picture of the burger that you got at the store.
It's small.
And that would be on the billboard, because then you actually know what you're getting, reflect it honestly, no bullshit, because that builds trust with your customer, which then long term means that you're going to have a long term relationship. But if you show better than you actually are in any sort of way, you're essentially lying.
You're a fraud, yeah.
And so I think good marketing is just communicating well the value that your product offers, but then being real about who you are.
Okay. In our psychoanalysis of ourselves, I think it was that we are very critical of people, right? We're critical of what's content's produced, and then we assume everybody is that critical of our stuff, so we think, okay, it needs to be at this level,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And I think
But if you're being very critical of other people, it means you're very critical of yourself.
Well, that was the point, right? And then, well, if you're critical of yourself, anything that you post you feel like isn't quite right.
Yeah.
Because I took a video, we had those new round balers come in, and I took a long 8-minute video, and Micah hadn't even really looked them over yet, and he's the mechanic, and he was just looking over this thing, talking about the pros and the cons to me, just kind of, I didn't even know that, and this is pretty, and I'm like, man, this is great stuff, and he's like, no, this is just awkward. And I'm like, no, man, this is just you figuring out the baler.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll see if I can get permission from them to post it. I'm sure I won't, but
it took me a while to get there though. Like when I started at MDT, I definitely was not that way at all. Like I wanted everything to be perfect.
Just look a certain way or whatever you saw somewhere else.
Yeah. Or like even doing promotions for the coaching now and stuff like that. Like do 4 or 5 takes, and eventually I'm like, whatever, man. I'm gonna post what I post. So, and then it's way easier anyway, and you don't have to worry about it. And so
we're still looking for a mechanic too, auto mechanic. So
okay. You got a mailbag question, specifically for you.
Okay,
Gary, it's no secret you've helped those who are struggling over the years. What is the common denominator among the challenges those people face, and what we can learn from this?
I mean, I'd be curious, is this from somebody who's trying to help other people?
This came on the website anonymously.
Anonymous. Okay. I mean,
what is the common denominator of the challenges that the people that are really struggling, that they face? And what can we learn from it? So what is it, something that a lot of you see over and over?
The common denominator is that people are stuck in secret patterns of sin, or not so secret, but I think it's that. So there's shame, and there's always the assumption from people that if somebody or you or whoever, if somebody knew everything about me, they wouldn't love me and they wouldn't care for me. And everybody's deepest need is to be wanted and cared for by people, right? To belong. Everybody wants that. Everybody. Even people that do not seem that way, who are very abrasive and they all desperately want to be loved and cared for, right? And so I feel like people that I deal with that are really broken, they have stuff going on where they're just like, and then things have happened to them, and those things, I think that it's spiritual warfare. I think that the devil uses really awful things that happen to people, and he just keeps them really sick. And then what happens is hurt people. Yeah. So now you have this cycle of people, like, obviously awful things having happened to them. They start doing awful things to others. Like most people that do horrific things have had, as a general rule, there again, there's no excuses. Everybody's accountable. I'm not excuse making. Nobody gets to hold up the victim card. But the explanation helps. And when you can realize, hey, why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. So my experience, and I'm sure yours has too, because you talk to a lot of guys that are struggling in, similar ways, really. It's like, hey, there's always this idea, and women too. It's just like, they've just had tragic situations, and then that just snowballs into a life that seems, and the interesting thing is that even if you have had horrific things happen to you, or just a very challenging life, you still can kind of fumble along, especially in the culture we're in, where there's a lot of supports, and you're relatively, if you took someone with some of the things that happen to them in our world and you move them into another country, or you move them into, a poor family in another area, their life would probably look way worse. But they are, it's the same level of brokenness, but because they're let's say in our culture's Dutch, and they're relatively well off in our community, and there's, they've went to a school where they're learning, and they're kind of just well cared for, practically well cared for, not in every way, but well cared for physically. It hides a multitude of things. So what I experience is people that are 40, 50, 60 that are just so broken and so just, they're emotionally flatlined a lot of the time.
Shell
of themselves of what they could be if they just found some level of, a healing, right, from the hurt that's happened. So that's been the beautiful thing of the journey like you and I have been on, where it's with other people too. It's just like, man, you see people that literally come alive, and they're like,
it's so cool.
It's humbling. And all of a sudden, and then you go from being like, hey, this person's even keeled, to this person experiences great joy and deep sadness, right? Which is how we're created. We're created to weep, and we're created to laugh, right? And if you're not doing any of those things on that regular basis,
something's wrong.
Something's not right there, right? So
reminds me of what Trey said to me last night. He said, isolation is the devil's main buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's running from community, right, when they're struggling, right? Which is so ironic, because, of course, that's the point when you most need it. Yeah. If I think back to when I was hating myself, I was literally by myself, just totally.
But that's what
screwed
Adam
up,
and Eve did, right?
broken,
Adam and
weeping.
Eve sinned and they ran from
Duck
God.
for
They
cover.
went and hid.
Duck for cover.
Because they didn't really also understand who God really is too. Because so
Yeah.
if you have an understanding of God that He's, not going to have mercy on you, then other people won't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just getting real is it's so powerful. And but yeah, I do also agree that the culture we live in with especially wealth really hides the brokenness, but it is not any less broken.
No, but it's really hard then. I remember distinctly being like 19 or 20, being relatively well off, having a nice car, having a good job, lots of money for a young guy, and looking in the mirror thinking like, how come you are so screwed up? Like, this is just BS, man. Like, and you have no excuse in your life, like how, but just hurting, right? And just being totally, and I think to go from that spot to go to somebody and admit that is extremely difficult.
Exactly. Yeah.
At 20, let alone at 40 or 50
Yes.
or 60, when you're like, you're plodding along doing all the quote unquote right things, right? Outwardly.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's been my experience.
Yeah. Okay. I know you love talking about real estate. You said there's kind of cracks forming in the land development side, and you said the real estate in our area is very spotty. What about the cracks forming in the land development side?
Well, just in the sense of there's developers that have been, holding chunks of raw land. So developers typically get a pretty bad name, right? Because people would think they're greedy, or of course they are. Like, they're literally out there to make money, right? Like but they are the speculative ones that keep the housing supply coming. And so if you look at housing starts now across Canada, they are down, like especially in detached homes, but just in general, even condos. Like the condo, at the same time, of course, the condo sale side is like 90% in Toronto. It's 90% below the 10-year average. That's how bad sales are, right? It's a full-on crisis. And so that's why I said, I think last week, about how there's no crisis in supply. It's just the wrong supply. And obviously, we're not all moving to the GTA, right? But I think on the land side here, you see it where more and more pieces are coming for sale. And there's lots of pieces, even in Chilliwack where we live, there's like nice chunks of land that are nice apartment sites. And 3 years ago, somebody would have bought those, or they'd already be building, and nobody's building. Like, everybody sees that rent prices are coming down. And yeah, the value of money is going up. So we're just going to probably have a correction in the rent prices, correction in obviously hard assets to some degree too.
Happy I sold my place a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, and then on the flip side, like if you look at the lag time from when interest rates start dropping when you're entering a recession, which there again, if it weren't for immigration, we would be in a bad recession. It's just not talked about because it's been masked the last 4 years by insane amounts of people coming into the country. But it takes a long time before you hit a bottom. Like, and it's historical. You look in the 90s, I think, peak price in the 90s to when it bottomed out was like a 5 or 6 year run, right? Like, it takes a long time. Because, of course, you have people all the way through buying up, quote unquote, the bottom, right?
Yeah.
And there's always opportunity in every market.
Yeah.
It's just, I see it on land where there's pieces around us that I know people are paying. Like, land often, there's wealthy developers that own it outright, but a lot of like newer developers are paying like 14, 15% interest rates. Well, when you have that kind of cash burn on a chunk of land, like that chunk of land needs to be going up, not down in price, right? Over the course of 2 or 3 years.
Yes,
right?
100%.
In Surrey, I know of one piece in Surrey that I'm familiar with, and their carrying cost is $1 million a year on a, $9 million chunk of land, right? So pretty crazy.
All right. Well, hopefully I'll sell my MDT shares soon. My small ownership stake in that, and hopefully land keeps going down, and
buy some gold. Maybe gold's on the
Bitcoin.
At the marriage retreat, I had dinner on Friday night with a guy who's made a fortune in Bitcoin, like early onset guy, 2015, young couple, really cool story. And then another guy was a commodity gold and silver guy. He thought we should be backing up the bus and buying silver, but silver people have always said that, and silver historically it's always underpriced. I think it's just not rare enough, but anyways.
Interesting.
People would disagree. I'm sure there's listeners that have lots of silver and would disagree.
Okay. Hot topic. I don't know why you put this in here. This is the
not hot.
Well, not hot now. The weight of women.
Oh, not going to talk about it this week. I had to think about it more. Okay. Sober second thought.
I wish you could record these podcasts when Gary has these ideas.
In the moment?
Yeah.
Oh man. It's a loaded question, no pun intended. Let me think here. Where was I going with that? Oh, I just feel like
on that note, before you say that,
yeah, actually, I'm not going to say anything. Thank you for this.
So I ran into Pastor Matt and his wife at the Jervers hockey tournament, and I'd never met his wife before.
Okay.
And she kept running up to me. She goes, "You have no right to talk about Botox and women. That is complete crap." And I was pissed about it. I haven't listened to any episodes since. So maybe it's okay since then.
No, it's
but
not
I was
okay.
not okay with that.
It's not okay. It hasn't gotten any better.
And that was like the first time I ever talked to her. I thought it was so entertaining. So I was like, you should come on the podcast and talk about it. And Matt's like, yeah, get her on.
Yeah, no.
Anyways. Okay, so no comment on this one?
No comment. No, let me think about it.
Okay, what about the weight of men?
Unfortunately, most men don't care about their weight enough.
It brings something else up. So at sometimes I'll reference Trey, but he really eats healthy. Like
too healthy.
Meat and vegetables.
Too healthy. Yeah.
And so
zero fun.
Peter, my son, had this funny idea. He's like, when Trey comes, I'm going to tell him for his birthday, I'm going to get a bag of candy. And so yesterday, that's the first thing Peter does is try to share that joke and tell him that I'm still biting my nails. And Trey's like, no, just give her to everyone at church. They have no problem eating candy there. Because that's kind of like a beef he has with the church, that like everyone eats unhealthy and is totally okay with it.
Oh, it totally is. We had a sermon on gluttony, right? It's really tough because obviously people have all kinds of genetic stuff and people have all kinds of reasons, and there's a lot of shame around it, which there shouldn't be. Mike, I brought it up with Marie.
Just the sugar.
Well, it's not about the size. I brought it up with Marie, and she didn't totally disagree with my take, but I did think that she should talk about. She had a very healthy perspective on.
No, she should come on. The desk is being built.
The desk is she could just come sit here and do one fill in for me and talk about these types of things. We should create a separate list of women issues that only women are allowed to talk about. Fair enough.
Okay, Gary's wrong about kids working too. Another.
Oh yeah, listener feedback.
Okay,
people call me to encourage me, but just say like, "No, you're dead wrong," right? And I got a lot of feedback.
Wrong about what? What specific? That's like a half sentence. Gary's wrong about kids working too. Kids shouldn't work.
No, people were fired up about when we talked about the immigration, the foreign worker thing.
Yeah.
It was more controversial than you thought. I got quite a bit of feedback from different listeners. Some in Alberta when I was in Alberta, some here.
Okay, so
they don't ever send in feedback. They just vent to other people, right? And then the other people reach out to me. And
so what's this feedback? Gary's wrong.
The feedback is that I pushed and said, "Hey, kids wouldn't do the work. Nobody wants to do the crap jobs." And there's definitely people that really disagree with that. There's people that think that the foreign workers just need to leave, and we have enough workers in Canada. I don't agree with that. I don't see that, but I could totally be wrong. And I'm sure there's areas and pockets and places that's not the case. It's just, I gave a pretty good anecdotal story, and like I say, I think there's a lot of anecdotal stories. Now, as a general, somebody agreed with me in the way it's playing out, but they said overall for the economy and the way that we're going, we do need to be dialing the number back, right? And it's interesting because that person was probably a conservative voter, and I'm thinking that the Conservative Party knows their base and they're saying what their base wants to hear, right?
Okay.
And that's why Pierre Poilievre.
So that ties in. I think that same episode we talked about margins, and you said like, "Hey, I only make 10% margin."
Oh yeah, I got in trouble for that too.
And so you said there's plenty of businesses running high margins and greedy, probably not small ones, usually in tech.
Oh, somebody else gave me that feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's high margins.
Yeah.
I see a lot of businesses that have pretty high margins.
Well, even when I was at this marriage thing, I talked to a guy that has similar businesses to me, and they are just making scads of money. It was fascinating. Told me exactly what he was making. I was just like, that is crazy that you get away with that.
So is it that you're pricing differently, or?
Yeah, we're pricing lower. I think that to some degree, depending on how long you've been around for, and like just picture a mechanic shop that's been around for 20 years.
Because I'm guaranteed, like John Deere, like I used to buy from them for 3 years.
They are making fat margin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, even those guys, so they would still get to hold their margin, but they would be losing market share now to gray market, aftermarket products, right? Yeah, so even at our shop, it's like, hey, anytime you
But that's always been that way.
No, but I think it's totally changing now because of the World Wide Web, right?
Oh, okay.
Like in the 80s and 90s, it wouldn't have been like that. How would you have ever found... You probably still would have, but it would have been like some guy driving around from farm to farm with these aftermarket products or selling them to a shop. But now any mechanic could literally order the part from anywhere in the world and have it shipped to his place. Right?
Yeah. I also think it's that, like, especially these bigger companies are not owned by one person anymore. They're owned by like an investment group, or they're publicly traded, where the thing that matters most is how much money you're making above everything. That's the primary value driver, instead of actually adding value to your customer, which is pushing the margins up. When I think business should be always offering more value than you're taking and still making a profit. But your goal is not to make money, it's to provide a good house or to provide a good car repair or provide.
At the marriage retreat, talk about the uber wealthy, but like the guy who owned the family that owned Mr. Freezy, they were there and they had just sold, ironically, to a private equity company. And I never did ask them how they would, because this is a Christian family. These are very good people, right? And they were
still need Jesus too, or not? Like how good?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But just Christian values. That's what I meant by good.
Okay. I was just being
good values. No, not good people. Horrible people. Dead in their trespasses. But it was just interesting, that flavor of like all of a sudden how the business changes when someone comes in, right? And like I said, I didn't ask him in detail what that would look like. Now, all these private equity companies, when they buy a company, they keep management on. And this guy had just stepped down as the CEO, and they had sold like 1.5 years or 2 years ago. And then they have like a whole, buyout structure over the course of those years, so the guy doesn't run the company into the ground. But
that's why I think purpose is really important. And I see that in a lot of business owners, they don't actually really know beyond like making money what their purpose is. And if you don't really understand that, then you're gonna be just profit driven, or you're gonna be not really know where you're going. But especially business ownership, like you have this amazing opportunity to like speak into your employees and transform their lives, or like your customers' lives. Like it's such a cool medium to be able to have a massive impact. But if it's, your heart has to be in the right place to want to do that, right? It's still loving people ultimately as yourself to be able to do that. Because if it becomes selfish, then it's going to go sideways quick. Not to say that you won't make a lot of money. You might make more money, but it's not. You're not going to have the joy in it either, I don't think. Has that shifted for you over the years as a business owner? Like from like you own business pretty early on, and to like what the purpose behind it is? Like how do you think about it? Is it just?
I guess I've never, like as much as I've always like profit mattered, and I like making money on deals in my early 20s, and now I'm in my 40s. I guess I feel like very early on I learned that there was very little satisfaction in that, like, and still tried harder, but like there's never, like, you cannot make enough money to feel content and happy, right? And I did, like, not that I made scads, because I didn't, but I made more than I ever thought I would have, put it that way, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, it's very not satisfying. And interesting too, even if you look at, like, I had parents that are very content people, and always had enough, like never scads, but always enough, right? And just that probably stuck with me more than I realized. And they didn't give lectures about it ever. It wasn't like they weren't like teaching, they were just kind of living it. And and I think that, and that's why I find it somewhat humorous that I'm perpetually discontent, because I'm so different than that. But that's part of the entrepreneurial spirit and trying new things. I just feel like once you have enough where you can, because it's a level playing field, and I know that, right? And like even people that have a dream, like people that, like, there's Dan Martell wrote Buy Back Your Time. It was recommended by your brother. Actually, I read it. It's a great book for someone like myself. But like even that guy, like, he's living in a life. He'll post pictures of driving a Lamborghini, or like, would I like to drive? I'd be fine driving a Lamborghini, but like I'm fine driving a half-ton pickup and getting, like, those are fun experiences. But like if I had to list the 5 things that I'd want to do, that would not be in the top 5, right?
Yeah.
And like I have realized, I guess it's just like, when you, like, our businesses are very much integral to like nonprofits, and to me that's what matters. If like Jesus calls us to look after the orphans and the widows, what does that look like in our community? That means Pearl, that means Meadow Rose, that means pro-life. That for me obviously it's going to mean something different to somebody
it's not
else.
Our money anyway, right?
It's not, we're stewards. So that's where that book that I'm reading slowly, I still have not finished it, but the Money, Possessions, and Eternity book is so important, right? And even I haven't got to the chapter yet, but Maria has talked about it a lot, where it's like even retirement, like, what does that mean? What does it mean for saving for retirement? Is that biblical? What company should we be investing in, right? And so, I don't know. It's a personal journey, and I'm always scared to speak really strongly myself, because I think, man, that's for everybody to wrestle with. And somebody at the retreat I was at was talking about how they give, right? And I was saying the wrestle that I had, even like you're expected to write a check at this thing and how you do that. And then they said their experience was, hey, we just take 10% of our income from our business, 10% from our personal income, and that money's set aside, and that's what we give from. And I mean, I wasn't about to give him a spiritual lecture, but I'm like, I don't think that's how we're called to be. I don't think it's box checking. I don't think, you know, you don't get to give 15 or 20% and say, oh, now I'm being really generous because the standard's 10. Nowhere is the standard 10. We're called to be sacrificial giving. And some of us, that might not even be with money. It might be with our time. Yeah. And that's the thing that's the most precious, right? So I don't know. It's a personal journey, right?
Well, I think what God is ultimately after is your heart. Like he asked the rich young ruler to give everything he had. He asked Zacchaeus to give up half that he had. He, like he said to the woman that gave like 2 pennies or whatever else like that, like she gave like everything or whatever. And so he's ultimately after our affections. Right? He's not after, like, not box checking, but like your heart. If you're still trying to like hold on to a little piece and stuff like that, even if you're holding on to 5%, but it's still just like, well, then that's all for just me. No, it's like live surrendered, and that's where the real joy is too, because then you don't have to worry about it anymore, about like what you have or what you don't have. He says he'll give you what you need. Do you trust him or not? And it reminds me of a conversation I had with Martin last week, and he is part of a YPO group, which I think is like all business guys that get together. And he said there was one guy he met with that had like 10 supercars and basically had just everything, and that he had prayed before they had shared a meal together. And so they were talking about faith and stuff, and he reminded the guy that like we all have a God-shaped hole in our hearts, right? Like nothing, whatever it is, if it's a ministry, which is really dangerous because then it feels like you're doing good.
Yeah, and you get praised, and you get praised a lot for it. It's probably the most dangerous, actually.
Or money, or whatever else like this. Like Jesus will satisfy you. He's the living water. Nothing else will. But it's hard to get through our thick skulls.
It was interesting on the retreat. They had a guy, Stephen Bell, who's a musician out of Winnipeg. I mean, some people probably know of him. I had never heard of him. But he performed there, and he sat at my table for dinner on Saturday night because my wife wasn't there, so I went and sat with the workers there, and he was sharing that he does stuff in California. He's done stuff with Rick Warren, and he was at a breakfast meeting a while ago with Rick Warren. And Rick Warren, after he wrote the Purpose Driven Life book, which sold 50 million copies, obviously made Rick Warren very wealthy. He made a kind of a public announcement, which I guess would be counter to Scripture's thing of, hey, not letting your left hand know what your right hand is giving. That's what I brought up when I was sharing with those folks, right? Just kind of like wrestling. But anyways, he said Rick Warren went up and shared at that thing and said, hey, my 10% left over, I'm doing totally fine, right? And then you know, put the call out there to be like that idea of sacrificial giving, right? What does that look like? And I think in our culture, it's difficult because even as a business owner, you think, okay, how am I supposed, like, obviously you don't want to bankrupt your business, but, you know, and then I watched a clip the other day of Francis Chan, and he's going on a rant about, hey, if I went broke and if I starved and then ended up, you know, going to heaven, and just kind of like, man, I ended up here because I literally was so generous. Like, is that the worst thing that could happen, right? It was just interesting, right? It was challenging for me. Because often I still have that idea of like that safety blanket and the comfort of just having
imaginary walls.
Well, something somewhere, right? And it's just like, no, it's totally
also because there's so much of it that don't like. So when we try to control it, also there's so much anxiety tied to that because we know that we don't control the whole market. We don't control
the stock
everything
market
that happens,
or the housing market,
but God does. And Randy Alcorn actually, so he wrote the prophets to all of his books before he started writing. The guy that wrote Money, Possessions, and Eternity away to a fund, so he didn't have anything. Then he got arrested a whole bunch of times for speaking out outside abortion clinics, and they were going to sue him for all of his money, but he had none. And if he would have kept all the money himself, they would have been able to take all that money from all of his books away, and now they give it all away.
It's really humbling.
That's awesome. And John Piper too. He wrote he's written like millions of books, and from the day one he put it towards like a board and says we're giving all this money away. Well, then you don't have to worry about it and have all this stress of what to do with it. And so he actually recommends, or maybe it's Alcorn that recommends, set a weights for yourself at like 25 or whatever, or 20 years old, at like how much you need to make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, whatever.
And everything above that you just give away.
Yeah, for the rest of your life, and then just like because it's way harder to work backwards.
But you just don't. Yeah. You don't. And you see that over and over because it does not matter what people make. Most people are tight, right? Yeah. I would actually argue that people that make way more money are probably tighter. Because very quickly your lifestyle there's just 1,000 people that come at you and ways to piss away your money, right? So
I also don't think it's like trying harder to be more generous or do money the right way is the answer either. It's like be in love with Jesus more, and the rest of your affections or ways to live will naturally fall in line. Like,
yes, but I would challenge that in the sense of, man, if we all have moments where we're asked for money, right? And our response could often be, oh, I already give to this, or, oh, I don't feel that strongly. But man, just wrestle with it and just, I don't know. We've seen it at our church. I've seen it in our own lives. It's like, man, when you just have faith and just like, man, God does something, right? He does something in our hearts. And I think it's a blessing. Like like I say, we've had some cool personal stories, and I just think we are called, because we live in such a materialistic society, right?
Yeah. So how do you know the will of God?
You don't, but it'll be shown to you. Like, it'll become
seek first
clear.
the kingdom of God and his righteousness, then all the things will be added to you. Like, it's still like seeking God first, not seeking what should I do with my money first. It's like, okay. I think that's good.
You got a lot more recording to do today, so.
Yeah, I got Mike coming on.
Okay, nice.
So, I think that's it. If you want to get coached,
call Kyle.
Yeah, or Trey. Trey coaches for me too.
Okay.
So he does a 1-year program, and then he'll do 3 visits. So he'll visit wherever you're at 2 times, and he'll visit wherever he wants you to go once for 3 days. That's why he's up here. He's coaching someone here locally. And he does coaching / mentoring. Like, he'll definitely give a lot of opinions on
more opinionated than you are.
Well, I'm pretty opinionated. I just don't share him on my coaching that much.
Okay.
So
he's very big on the diet. I talk to guys that talk to him.
Yes.
Like,
very big on the diet, very big on discipline. He goes, discipline is everything. Discipline is freedom. This morning.
That is countercultural.
This morning at 6:00, we were sitting in Cultus for our cold plunge.
Okay.
It was still a little too dark at the Vetter when we drove past, so otherwise we would have gone on the Vetter River.
We went to quite a bit of a warmer spot, I might add.
Yeah, it was quite a bit warmer than the Vetter, but I did the Vetter last week with Nicole. It was Happy Camper did our Happy Camper dating, and she wanted to go to do a cold plunge at the Vetter.
How long do you last in the Vetter?
We sat there 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
Right. You get used to it.
Okay.
It's like riding a bike. Like, the first time you start cold plunging, you lose your breath and you like feel like panic attack.
How long do you last the first time? 10 seconds?
You can last as long as you want. You just have to decide.
Mental
game.
All the battles in life are won and lost between the ears way before you ever go to war. I can tell you that for free.
Yep.
Everybody you meet, they've already decided if they're going to be successful or fail or quit or push through.
Beliefs. Thinking drives beliefs. Beliefs drive behaviors. Guys, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Week.
Yeah, if you have any questions or suggestion topics for the podcast, you can send those in.
I didn't find it that easy to find it on the website.
It's not that easy. You have to scroll to the very bottom, then you have to hit podcast question, and then you can do it anonymously.
Okay.
And
thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
But I will. I'm working on getting that.
Just that piece right on the homepage.
Well, I need to add
anonymous podcast.
I need to add recruiting on there, and I need to add a bunch of other things. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Peace.
Okay. Take care.